Hey, good morning, class, and welcome back to week 4. Good Sunday morning. Welcome back to Introductory Psychology. It's a great morning. I'm recording this a little earlier than I normally do on Sunday morning because I'm really excited for today. It's the first day of NFL football. My team is playing later today, the Seahawks, so I'm pretty pumped. We're playing the Broncos, so I wanted to get the video out of the way early so I can go sit in front of Red Zone for the next few hours. But anyways, we've got had a really great weekend of football overall. You know, OU won and OSU won, so at any weekend I can come back and say that I'm pretty excited. And they got pro football today, so I'm really pumped. So anyways, hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back. We're already 4 weeks into the class. I can't believe it. I mean, I'm a student as well, and I'm already 4 weeks into my classes, and it's just like, whoa, we just started and we're already a month in. So I don't know if the rest of you get that feeling of just things fly by really quick when you really get into the grind of things. So all right. So, anyways, just wanted to give a quick reminder that tonight is, if you haven't uploaded completed response paper 3 from the TED Talk I posted about consciousness and awareness and reality, and a really, really interesting TED Talk. If you haven't watched that and posted your response paper, that is due tonight at 11:59 p.m. I think a few of you have already submitted yours, and those have been great, and I will grade those as they come, probably starting tomorrow. So there's that. I want to talk about this week, week 4. Good news for this week. There is no discussion and there is no response paper. So good news there. Hey, don't worry about posting anything. Don't worry about watching anything. So that's good. The reason why there is no discussion or paper this week is because it's our first exam number 1. You'll find it under content. It's listed as Ratha's exam 1. I think it'll say something like chapters 1 through 4. So that's exactly what is covered on this week's exams, chapters 1 through 4. And there's 50 multiple choice questions on this exam. The questions are typically application based. I don't really want to know that you know the definition of something. I want to know that you can apply it in a situation. So you're going to see a lot of scenarios with people with their names and like, you know, how does this scenario, what definition best fits this scenario? And there's going to, questions like that. So, that exam will be due on the 17th. It's been open since yesterday. I opened it up a little bit early just in case anybody wanted to get started early, but it's open now currently. There's no time limit. However, I want to advise that you do need to, the exam closes at 11:59 p.m. on the 17th that night, and if you are working on the exam when it closes, it'll only take up, it'll only count the questions that you've answered so far. So please do not wait until the last minute. I mean, if you wait till like 11 o'clock, that may not be enough time to take the full exam. I think it'll take you about an hour, maybe a little bit more, depending on how well you know the content, but please give yourself enough time. Don't wait until the last minute, because otherwise it will cut you off, and at that point your scores will be what they are. So, but of course, so I said the exam covers chapters 1 through 4. We've only covered 1 through 3 so far. So this week you'll need to read chapter 4, which is one of my favorite chapters. It's on consciousness. So you'll need to read that before you take the exam, obviously. So this is one of my favorite chapters because it talks about a subject that was kind of talked about a little bit in this week's TED Talk, but I wanted to sort of bridge the gap from 3 to 4. Our sense of awareness, which is, we talk a little bit about in chapter 3, is really what kind of you can sum consciousness up to. It's awareness of self, awareness of others around us, awareness of like the internal feelings, things like that. So this chapter is going to be dealing with a lot of states of consciousness. So you're going to get a definition of what consciousness is. You're going to look at several different states of consciousness, including sleep, which will also dab into the DSM-5 for the first time when we look at sleep disorders like insomnia, narcolepsy. The DSM is the manual, diagnostic and statistical manual for mental illness that's used by insurance companies to code and diagnose, and medical care providers to diagnose mental illnesses. So we'll spend a whole chapter on that towards the end. I think it's chapter 12, but we're going to dabble in a little bit here in chapter 4. So afterwards, we're going to look at some other states of consciousness, including hypnosis, meditation, and biofeedback. Meditation is something I think is really cool, something I personally practice, and a lot of my doctoral research is on the use of meditation in classroom settings with students, K through 12, and with college students. So I find this section to be really fascinating, although it's a really small blurb in this chapter, unfortunately, but anyways, I think it's cool. Then we're going to get into talking about substance abuse, or substance use, excuse me. You don't really call it substance abuse anymore. It's called substance use. That's a disorder in the DSM as well. We're going to look at different types of drugs, both illegal and legal. When we talk about drugs, anything that alters your sense of consciousness, it doesn't have to be illegal. It doesn't have to be dangerous. It can be something that we consume every day. I mean, one of the most widely consumed drug in the entire planet is something I have in my cup right here, some coffee. I promise you it's coffee. There's nothing extra in this cup. Not this early. Just kidding. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, alcohol, one of the most widely used drugs in the world, totally legal as long as you're a certain age. And we're already even starting to see the change in culture with marijuana. I mean, marijuana at one point, I remember growing up, you still, when I grew up as a kid, you heard a lot of the same, talk about marijuana, like kind of the reefer madness sort of cultural view about marijuana, that it's, you'll go crazy and there's all these bad consequences. But now marijuana is legal in like half the country in various ways. And even in this state, we just legalized medical marijuana. So it's really interesting how times are changing and sort of the definition of drugs and how we accept them as a society is even changing. So anyways, this chapter, you're going to look at 3 different types of drugs. You're going to look at depressants. Depressants are things that slow down the central nervous system, going back to chapter 2, like alcohol, prescription pills, opiates, which is another major drug problem in this state, in this country as a whole. We'll look at stimulants. Stimulants are like uppers, things that stimulate the central nervous system. So cocaine, methamphetamine, nicotine, caffeine, so there's a wide range of, when we say stimulants, I mean, there's a wide range of stimulants. And then finally, hallucinogens. These are drugs that will distort sensory perception. So, and the textbook classifies marijuana as a hallucinogen. You might think of other drugs that, other like LSD and psilocybin mushrooms and things like that are also considered hallucinogenic drugs. So you're going to see kind of the wide gambit of what's considered drugs. And remember, I just mentioned half of those were either legal at some point in our history, are legal now. Probably, it's the United States has a really weird history with drugs. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. But anyways, this chapter I think is one of my favorite chapters just because it covers just a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff that, probably wouldn't be its own chapter on its own. So, but anyway, so make sure you read chapter 4 before you take the exam, obviously, because I think 12 or 13 of the questions on the exam cover chapter 4. So I tried to break the exam up into pretty much by 4, it's 4 chapters. I try to be as even as possible. Like I think 12 to 13 questions for each chapter. So anyway, so again, no discussion, no response paper this week. Make sure you turn in response paper 3 if you haven't by tonight. Otherwise, it will be considered late and receive a 40% deduction in points. And then make sure you complete exam 1, which covers chapters 1 through 4, by the 17th. You have until next Monday, not tomorrow Monday, but the following Monday to complete it. And please, please, please give yourself enough time. Don't wait until the last minute. My recommendation, read chapter 4. Also, in your textbooks, if you're not aware, at the end of each chapter, there are comprehension checks, questions that you should try to answer to check and see. That's my recommendation to you to study. Go over the PowerPoints that I've posted, just kind of read through those and make sure I understand this. Maybe try to teach it to somebody. If you can teach it to somebody else, then, hey, you really understand it. And I think even in the back of the book, there are even more practice questions. So, I would utilize all of those resources if you haven't done so yet. Just anything you can do to help yourself, get better. So anyways, all right, I'm going to go watch some football and / do some homework myself. I hope everyone has a great Sunday, and I look forward to seeing your exam results. I know they're going to be great. If you have any questions at all about the exam, I can't give you answers on the exam, so please don't send me like a question, hey, I'm working on this, problem 35, what is it? I can't do that. But if you have a question about a topic that you're confused about before you take the exam, hey, I just read this in chapter 4 and I kind of need some clarification, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to respond as soon as possible. So other than that, hope everyone has a great weekend. I'll see you all next week. All right, bye.